it's been forgotten to history what AIDS was like when every year Donald and his husband John, they would have a Christmas party. And Donald always liked to have like a 200 or 300 person party where he would always wear something memorable every year. And like the coat with all the buttons, like Michael Jackson had. What do you call this kind of like uniform coat one year? And it was always, I remember one year someone walked in and said, "Nice culottes." And Donald was a bit outraged by that. And he would have a Christmas party around the pool and offer a toast and say, "I hope to see some of you. May we all see each other, next year." And every year there would be less of the old crowd and more of the new, with people that died that year. And so I also feel that Donald had a quality too that he got by really studying my work as an example and learning how to use it to fit what he wanted to do, which was always in a film to go with a more cinematic approach rather than what's dictated by the page. I think that Donald certainly would have gone on to write screenplays and probably direct them. I know he'd been to the Royal School. Anyway, these were all workshop poems. And some, I've never read this as I recall before. It's called In a High Noon. Some women are born to autumn. Now some women are born to sin. And some women is an opening I have a patent on. And I encouraged Donald. I told him, and we talked about this in workshop, that H.G. once said, we all dip from the same trough. Nonetheless, I do believe, just as a random example, some women are born to autumn. They walk into a high wind without coats. I taught him that line break, and it's a beautiful line break when you say they walk into a wind. Line break. You're setting yourself up for something to happen. So I like to break lines, probably not in a traditional way, but when I can set up a line to break with something happening, I'm happy. And as I often taught in workshop, Donald, he was one of my first and favorite students. He was at UCLA, and I told him, he read something, and I said, next time, why don't you leave your guitar at home? They sound like the lyrics for a folk rock song. He said he always held that against me. Some women are born to autumn. They walk into a high wind without coats, through floating newspapers that stick to their legs. They are 49, lush and vitiated, singed with incoherences, in a dusk of slate and vanished bottled light. They could disappear, check out in a fray of leaves shimmering like locust over picked fields. They understand mirrors in gas stations and motel pools when November magnifies fast breath and uncertain hands. Their streets are fugues and parallels crossing an open, deaf womb. They steal flowers at night and cover their laps with scarves. Their seasons are venereal, timed by who leaves and why. Gee, that's gorgeous. Their seasons are venereal, timed by who leaves and why. Apartments with no heat and their fireplaces full of clothes. There are girls with one line in high-stake settings. A coffee shop with a gun, a car with bad brakes and tinted windows. They are the women who wear lavender and dipped black pearls, pick up pennies and study rain gutters, lose children in theaters, and eat alone. They rename themselves and save for another operation, studying themselves at dusk for signs of vice and magic. That is a particular formula for which Donald came up with magnificent responses to the key dynamic lines in this piece, and it is exquisite. I'll start later, let's cut. I'm going to get one of, I've got some women, but I'm going to put my new Some Women poems against Donald's dead Some Women poems, and we'll see. At least Gabby isn't doing Some Women poems.
He doesn't do Braverman better than Braverman. He did it in a way that was just more fashionable at the time.
He was very much into labels, so he gave it a brand. How would they pronounce it now in the New World where they talk about the brand? He was able to affiliate himself with brand recognition early on. This was set out as an artistic strategic device. Donald understood marketing, and also Donald had, working together was fantastic. And I would like to consider this poem that comes from Mecca, which is either his first or second book, to Kate. With all my love, thanks and respect, Donald, April 17th, 1971. And he'd already done Malibu, and he dedicates it to his lover and to his grandmother and maybe also mother, Ginger. They invented ginger ale. And he grew up in Arizona, rich. The grandmother invented ginger ale. All these poems were written in workshop, and they began sometime in the 90s. And I had just, this was an assignment, Hollywood Women. Was an assignment that we were to walk around LA in character and see if we couldn't inhabit different, distinct barrios and inhabit them in the poem and get actual details to do as much work as possible. The real names of places, what you really see when you walk through a neighborhood naked as a poet with your senses exposed. And Donald went around LA, and here's some of the things he came up with. Hollywood women. They are the tattooed girls, slumped on sofas in pool halls, making lists with crayons and bumming cigarettes. That is exactly the rhythm of how I write. What is beautiful in this would be the slumped on sofas. Donald's S's were beautiful, as are Plath's and mine. The S must be attained. It was the making list, something I do a lot and encourage everyone to do. Make a list and then come up with what it's a list of. And you will tell me so much about your character. But he went for something easier. So he just said, making lists with crayons and bumming cigarettes, with the kick word being bumming, setting up an entire socioeconomic gender framework, only 4 lines into the piece. They wait to the menace in silence, and dying flowers in cups. They wait for drugs and mariachi music in the hall. They are the women locked in cars, 35 years old, red-eyed and tone deaf. They dream of a Pacific storm. When in doubt, go into a dream or a memory. It's a beautiful curve you can take, and Donald made it very beautifully there. And also, as many times as you can tell me exactly what's going on in the hallway, the more interesting it will be. And it was in response to Be Specific that many of these lovely, crisp, stark details come out. I'm going to start over in case you missed the detailed work going on. It's called Hollywood Women. They are the tattooed girls slumped on sofas in pool halls, making lists with crayons and bumming cigarettes. They wake to the menace in silence and dying flowers in cups. They wait for drugs and mariachi music in the hall. They are the women locked in cars, 35 years old, red-eyed and tone deaf. They dream of a Pacific storm. They are the downtown women who show the diary of the street in the air they inhabit. That's called pulling the rabbit out of the hat. That is an act of magic. That is the alchemy of pure creation. There is no way that you can begin with "they are the downtown women" and come up with an entire invention by accident, just by continuing down that long, dark alley. They are the downtown women who show the diary of their street in the air they inhabit. They don't even have rooms. That's how close we are to the subject. They are the Vietnamese girls in Mercedeses. That's an S on the Mercedes. I think that's wrong. They are the Vietnamese girls in Mercedes with fuzzy dice, stoic and furred, their lips red enamel. That's magnificent. But it should be just Mercedes. They are the Vietnamese girls in Mercedes with fuzzy dice, stoic and furred, their lips red enamel. They are the blondes from Chicago and Peoria, slowly combing the strip in black convertibles. They are the Mexican maids with starched dresses and fine hips in marble houses in Truesdale. polishing silver with burning hands. They are wives of lawyers floating in pools like withered leaves. They are named Connie, Sheila, Ruth. 3 times married, twice left for dead. They are the girls who wake each morning with the smell of broken men on their legs. And Donald could do these all day long, and he did. And I remember asking him, I think about particularly the Chinatown one, if he was getting it all from real life, and he said he was. I have a poem called City of Men, and Donald wrote a poem called City of Men. And I think his was always going to be better, and it was. And many were the images that he brought to workshop that people laughed at and said had to go and were wrong, in exactly the same way that when Hillary Clinton accused Barack Obama of not being changed but something you could Xerox, that Xerox brought in a whole generation that has nothing to do with it. He came in with a lot of bad images, and he really was willing to take suggestions on cuts of Donald always veered on the side of excess, as I suggested he do. John Ritchie once told me, if you have to veer on the side of excess or economy, go for excess, because you can always cut the extra out. And Donald understood that. City of Men by Donald Rawley. I am love in a city of men. Men who grab my backward glance with the threatened beat of their breath. Men whose nights are convenient and sly. Men with mirrored glasses and rifles, laughing on the freeway. Men who punch the air with their angry sex. Men with the squint of a hyena. This is my city, and I smoke cigarettes like convicts. My men are peerless as dukes, with their static strength of statues, with their cocks in hand, tempting fate, and the hair on their bellies a warning. My men are prudent with joy, men who discard love and memory when their sight has big muscle and hair. Men who allow me crime and melancholy. Men who allow me nothing. I take it all like barbiturates, and I am in a sleep of men. Men who disorient me. They take my eyes like dice. I study their buttocks with the greed of a child. Men! I can be a vanishing act. Men who know how to smoke a cigarette without women's fingers. Men who understand their role. Men with caked hair under their arms. Men with pink skin and a lisp. Beautiful men with histories and gifts, constant as a fine bell. Men who die for no reason. Men who have a white light like Valentino or Clara Bow. The light moths kill themselves for. the white light that makes me sit up and blink like a child, a pupil, a student of men's eyes, lit with candles and starch, a congregation of men who are fireflies and saints. Men are as kind as any animal who can steal, kind as your sexual history of Mexico, with your men reeling with tequila, men who smell fine as dirt and the salty perfume of paid sex, men who allow their semen to run through every channel. Men, I can touch their palms when I dream. Young men with still perfect limbs, ex-husbands in loud sweaters, groomed men with clenched teeth who hover in packs beyond the shotgun eyes of deserted women. Fat men with a comic sweat and ripe hands, tired men sitting on safe settees full of Bibles and lost beyond the dull swipe of rolled lawns. Men who make love with piety, canonized in a frenzy of flesh. Men who masturbate their lives so even daylight becomes their own private keyhole. Men with cars for girlfriends. Men who live in air-conditioned ruins, choking with ghosts and fearing rain. Men who slam doors and telephones. Men who have money and secrets and clean nails. Black men with skin like wet grapes, teeth like winter clouds. Drunk men who walk like dancing bears. Old men with wrinkled, ruined cocks peeking out at me like rummy sailors. Men whose skin accumulates layers like a granite shelf. Men with twisted veins like Monterey pines running down their clenched arms and spread legs. Men whose lust is hurried and benign. Men whose lips are a crime. Men who are boys that play with black leather and Vaseline. Boys who shadow box their fancy passions in alleys and steam rooms until dawn. Men who ride horses in the desert. Men who surrender nothing. Men with the pitched faces of thin air, staring out of glass buildings so high they only see mountains they do not understand. Men in average blue suits with wives in another state. Men with the laughter of poets, running elevators and pumping gas with delicious cracked, large, dry lips, smoking unfiltered Pall Malls and scratching their asses. These are the men with the rhythm of my city's white light. Men whose eyes are lit by gin and possibilities. Men who work in airports and have never flown. Men who are not safe in numbers. Men who drive beat-up cars and live with scarred women. Men who watch the stars with drugs and candles from the roofs of shabby buildings, men who come like a car wreck, men who are mindless with prodigy, men who eat rocks, men with cypress green eyes and hairy shoulders, men who devour a callous embrace, and all the men I find beyond my barricades, all men that tell me of hymns of earth and the strength in my loins, of tasting the white light, of being in love in a city of men. So it was Donald Rawley's tribute to how sexy the men of LA were and how he could inhabit the persona of LA as a woman and find its men and women so sexy, so magnificently, and with that special Donald spin. And I think it was Mulholland Drive. Sorry. I remember telling Donald, he asked me when he got this Hollywood assignment to go and do, did you ever find this stuff he did for Buzz magazine? His first piece was on meth labs, and he asked me how he would do it. And I said, well, just put your lipstick on and a red scarf over your hair, and just think Joan Didion, put on a pair of sunglasses, lipstick, and go out there and do it. And he did. And Donald's Cadillac, of course, was not just any Cadillac. You have to understand that. Are you going to take this? Donald's Cadillac wasn't just like a 10-year-old or 12-year-old Cadillac. No. This had a special pedigree. It could look like a 12 or 15 or 10-year-old Cadillac to you, but it was not. The truth was that this Cadillac was part of the Shaw's fleet of Cadillacs that he had gotten when he first came to LA, which could have been true. I'm sure he did have a fleet, but the idea that this fleet actually conjoined with the car in Donald's possession was a total lie. Donald, like all great poets, was a pathological liar. Now, Mulholland Drive, I think, was influenced by Hockney's painting, the famous painting of Mulholland Drive. It was a street that in LA has had a lot of significance. I think that David Lynch did a program called Mulholland Drive. I think of David Lynch as having lived in LA for a very long time. And Donald lived on Mulholland Drive, of course. And when I met him the first time, he said, "Oh, darling, I'm just a Beverly Hills matron." And he was about 34, 35, and was taking a daytime UCLA extended education class in which he would try out a new perfume every time. There are many people who remember Donald's classes by the perfumes that he chose to wear at the time. And Donald and perfume is a whole other thing. But Mulholland Drive is the first poem I remember really having a great impression on me. And in this poem, I might remember things, and if I do, I'll tell you. It's midnight on Mulholland Drive. You and I race beyond the guardrails where coyotes kiss under sudden red mornings. I am a raven-haired whore trapped in a fast black Jaguar, a smear on the windshield. I am a deliberate masquerade. My house is scrubbed with rum. In an airless bedroom, I watch for you on bed sheets, lousy with lies. You, with clinical blue eyes and a surgeon's lips, you are the time of my life. You are a backdoor kiss. You hiss and spray, your chest dancing like a lazy debutante. Your whisper is cool and false as a eunuch's tongue. This is delicious guilt, tended wisely with hot house tactics, complex and mute rule. I have grown my tomcat garden with expectant palms, a blind moon, and clenched fists. I can stretch my claws and assimilate memory. This tryst opens my skin, a painted wound, pornographic and hollow. This is ancient folly, elusive and moist as a burial ground. It's midnight on Mulholland Drive. In my house above the rain clouds, I wait with you with dark glasses in a mirrored room. We have always understood the immediate, you and I lay by you in this tiny blue gulf of conquered air, in the last freeze of our static night. Your pant invades the morning damp and hot, twisted acacia, in tethered reeds near steaming, still-lit swimming pools. You are the curl of fog hiding my naked ache. I want the sting of your arms and the music of your concrete pulse. I've smelled this dawn before. It's black leather and angora, broken glass and burned out bulbs. I fear your perfume and the itch of your blonde beard, fat and petulant as your probing loins. My memory is acid and salt. I store your face in a box of tortoise and ebony. It is a delirious face, wanton, marked with my breath. You stretch with the ease of a hypocrite. You say nothing when you come. Touch my back of oiled wood. I have the wet hide of a transient. I am all bedroom eyes, weak teeth, and shaped out legs. I will polish your hips into powder. I will make your ass a movie star. I can be bought. It's rattlesnake season on Mulholland Drive. There are the percussion of the Santana, odalisques of night, a swarm of heavy berries rubbing the cool grit of a dark, dry road, coiled on limestone verandas under oriental rock borders and behind electric gates. They sleep beyond the sprinklers. Do not walk this road of constant turns. You can't follow the squirm of the yellow line. You drive from the west from cliffs rotten with dim sunsets. You enjoy speeding east, entering my soil and shade. I fall into your skills. You with the rolling muscles of an anaconda with a pure kiss, exact as a bite. I am lost in your treacherous limbs. I sit on Mulholland Drive amidst pines and lemon trees, grouped like school children. I am always alone. Baby, I can keep secrets like jewels in a velvet case. I am the endless circus, the lure of the flowered rope and padded swing. I seldom give everything. I want to flutter your eyelids when you sleep. I want to make your solitary pounding a bracelet that fits. I want to meet your wife, you and I, cagey and right. I want to feel her eyes like a brine prophet. I am cruel with embraces and promises, and I with boxes and mirrors and jewels and glances that run. I still wait, watch for your car. You who drives without headlights, you who sheds color, you are the slam of a Cadillac door. You are the last twist in the road. You are the shine of speed and the trouble with virgins, the reason I sit with my body and cry, the history I repeat, the sunsets and oceans I sometimes see, when the day is clear of view, when my nights are stuck between your legs and my mornings full of fog. You ask me who I am. I am more than enough. This is a magnificent poem, I think, that Donald's done David Hockney's Mulholland Drive in a very inclusive way. There's something in all of Donald's work, and I could read the Mexican pieces as well as in the City of Men, that Donald had an Allen Ginsberg-like sense of inclusiveness in his thinking about men. And there is a joyfulness in the sexuality and in Donald's sexualization of Los Angeles, which is rapturous and electric, and he manages to make of himself a himself, herself, itself, they self, personified Los Angeles, anthropomorphized in Donald's take on the different regions in a book that will be impossible, I'm sure, to get, called Mecca, coming from a long, many years out of print publisher called Black Tie Press, coming out of Houston, Texas, and Mecca dedicated to me. And in one of the...
Can you show his author photo in there?
Yes. This is a photo of Donald. I don't know if it will... Can you see that? Mm-hmm. And I'm reading in the back, I wrote, Donald Rawley is a monumental talent, brilliant and dangerously, boldly sensuous and absolutely original. These are the best poems ever written about Los Angeles.
It's midnight on Mulholland Drive. You and I race beyond the guardrails where coyotes kiss under sudden red warnings. I am a raven-haired whore trapped in a fast black jaguar, a smear on the windshield. I am a deliberate masquerade. My house is scrubbed with rum. In an airless bedroom, I watch for you on bedsheets lousy with lies. You with clinical blue eyes and a surgeon's lips. You are the time of my life. You are a backdoor kiss. You hiss and spray, your chest dancing like a lazy debutante. Your whisper is cool and false as a eunuch's tongue. This is delicious guilt, tended wisely with hothouse tactics, complex in mute rule. I have grown my tomcat garden with expectant palms, a blind moon, and clenched thighs. I can stretch my claws and assassinate memory. This tryst opens my skin, a painted wound, pornographic and hollow. This is ancient folly, elusive and moist as a burial ground. It's midnight on Mulholland Drive. In my house above the rain clouds, I wait for you with dark glasses in a mirrored room. We have always understood the immediate, you and I. I lay by you in this tinny blue gulf of conquered air, in the last freeze of our static night. Your pant invades the morning damp, in hot, twisted acacia, in tethered reeds near steaming, still-lit swimming pools. You are the curl of fog hiding my naked ache. I want the sting of your arms and the music of your concrete pulse. I've smelled this dawn before. It's black leather and angora, broken glass, burnout bulbs. I fear your perfume and the itch of your blonde beard, fat and petulant as your probing loins. My memory is acid and salt. I store your face in a box of tortoise and ebony. It is a delirious face, wanton and marked with my breath. You stretch with the ease of a hypocrite. You say nothing when you come. Touch my back of oiled wood. I have the wet hide of a transient. I am all bedroom eyes, weak teeth, and shaked out legs. I will polish your hips into powder. I will make your ass a movie star. I can be bought. It's rattlesnake season on Mulholland Drive. They are the percussion of the Santa Ana, odalisques of night. A swarm of heavy bellies rubbing the cool grit of a dark, dry road. Coiled on limestone verandas, under oriental rock borders and behind electric gates, they sleep beyond the sprinklers. Do not walk this road of constant turns. You can't follow the squirm of the yellow line. You drive from the west, from cliffs rotten with dim sunsets. You enjoy speeding east, entering my soil and shade. I fall into your skills. You, with the rolling muscles of an anaconda, with a pure kiss exact as a bite, I am lost in your treacherous limbs. I sit on Mulholland Drive amidst pines and lemon trees, grouped like school children. I am always alone. Baby, I can keep secrets like jewels in a velvet case. I am the endless cirque, the lure of the flowered rope and padded swing. I seldom give everything. I want to flutter your eyelids when you sleep, I want to make your solitary pounding a bracelet that fits. I want to meet your wife. You and I, cagey and right. I want to feel her eyes like a blind prophet. I am cruel with embraces and promises. And I, with boxes and mirrors and jewels and glances that run, I still wait, watch for your car. You who drives without headlights. You who sheds color. You are the slam of a Cadillac door. You are the last twist in the road. You are the shine of speed and the trouble with virgins. The reason I sit with my body and cry. The history I repeat. The sunsets and oceans I sometimes see when the day is clear of you. When my nights are stuck between your legs and my mornings are full of fog. You ask me who I am more than enough.